Hello and welcome to our Age Well webinar today. My name is Alison Schneider and I'm the Education and Training Manager at Age Well, Canada's Technology and Aging Network. In today's webinar, Closing the Gap, Accelerating the Adoption of AI and Robotics in Long-Term Care, we will highlight how AI and robotics are reshaping healthcare delivery and accelerating technology adoption with two experts from GlobalDWS. We have Rami Webby, the CEO, CTO, and co-founder of GlobalDWS, as well as Lee St. James, the VP of Sales and Marketing at GlobalDWS and the founder of Social Robots, an AgeWell startup affiliate. We're excited to have you both here. This presentation will last for about 40 minutes, and we will have the remaining time for Q&A and discussion. Please post any questions or comments for the Q&A in the chat or in the Q&A box. Also in the Q&A box, you can comment or upload questions that you would like asked. So be sure to check that out. You may also raise your hand during the Q&A session to ask a question verbally. The raise hand option is on the Zoom toolbar, and you'll be able to use that during the last session when we're answering questions. You can also enable closed captioning in Zoom, and that's located on the Zoom toolbar as well. This webinar is being recorded, and we will send all webinar registrants a link to the recording, along with any resources that we share during this session. Okay, so that's it for me for now. I will turn things over to Lee to get us started. Lee?
Thank you so much, Allison. It's a pleasure to be here and to see everybody, or to hopefully hear everybody when you have your questions later. I'm going to take us through a quick review of our agenda and then jump into our learning outcomes and the rest of our agenda. So we're going to talk about acknowledging the gap. Why is Canada behind in technology adoption in senior care? And then I'll start with a set of case studies related to AI and robotics and sort of an area that I specialize in, which is around social robots. And then Rami's going to take us through the second set of case studies. And then we're going to talk about closing the gap. What are some of the lessons learned? And Rami's going to share our open innovation framework. And then we're going to get into our Q&A, and hopefully there'll be lots of great questions at the end. So again, our key learning outcomes for everybody, we want to review our detailed case studies to illustrate, in fact, how AI and robotics are being successfully deployed in Canadian long-term care homes. So although it may be slower than some of us may want, it's still, we are making great progress, and it's really a great opportunity for us to, give you hope about the journey that we've been on and the things that we've learned in the past number of years. And then we want to explore the benefits of enhanced collaboration and open innovation partnerships between technology companies, end users, and academia. So GlobalDWS, we're a Canadian technology platform company, and we've been around for over 13 years now, really focusing on delivering AI, robotics, IoT, and digital twin transformation across both regulated and healthcare and other environments, including financial services and so forth. We have over 400 deployments across the sectors that we work in. And the four main platforms that we're going to be sharing about today are the GraySpot platform. Some of you may have seen GraySpot at the conference that we were at back in October. We were delighted to be a gold sponsor of the AgeWell convention. We're also going to talk about the Verbrix a little bit. Virtual Bricks is what the Verbrix brand stands for, and the AI and IoT smart care environment solutions. I'm going to ask Rami now to just mention a little bit about our smart core environment and sort of what this means in terms of how we interact with this AgeWell group.
Thank you, Lee, and thank you, Alison. So GlobalDWS, like when we start deploying our robotics and AI solution, we decided that we don't want to create another silos in enterprise organization. We want to see how we can empower our customers and enable them with the right solution where it is integrated with their smart environment ecosystem. So we call it a smart environment and smart core, where we can integrate those robots with the other platforms, because the challenge, if we add those silos, it will be very hard to get the maximum return on investment of those technologies. Today, we are building and all those in a fully smart workplace ecosystem where the robots will be able to integrate with the sensors and be able to integrate with other business applications to be able to answer and address bigger business solutions and maybe operational challenges. So we start with the gray spot, which is a complete social enabled robot, which has a different capability, and Verbrix, which is for indoor and outdoor smart digital twin platform solution, fully integrated with AI-enabled smart environment.
Thank you. So now I'm going to address quickly the area that I think we're all very familiar with, and that's really the gap from research to capacity building to adoption of AI and robotics. Oops, right, yeah, there we go. So I'm going to summarize the barriers to adoption of technology in five key bullet points. So number one is clearly budget, and there's historically been a lack of clear short-term return on investment to justify the funds that people are allocating to technology. And some of the examples that we're going to share with you today are really to help see how we're overcoming that barrier or concern that people have. The other one, and Rami just mentioned this in terms of the SMART core model that we use, is that technical integration infrastructure issues are a huge issue. And if you've been following any of the webinars that we conduct ourselves through GlobalDWS, you're familiar with the fact that we really believe in technology adoption planning and the importance of preparation for these deployments. And that's one of the things that seems to be a huge issue for most of the clients that we talk to. There's also clearly a skills gap, and there's a need for a lot of training. And so that's, but the more user-friendly the technologies can become, and the more people are comfortable using sort of AI-enabled technologies, the better adoption becomes. There typically are privacy and ethical concerns and also regulatory uncertainty. And those things are being slowly addressed, but they do take time. So when we look at the real world adoption of AI, obviously we lead in AI research, but what are the key things that we believe are still accounting for the fact that we're lagging? And obviously one of them is demographically. So labor shortages in other countries like Japan, even across Europe, have not been mitigated the same way that Canada has. We've really focused on immigration as our strategy, but that is coming to an adjustment, to an end. In terms of the national AI strategy that we have, it's a very successful AI strategy, but we don't have a robotics strategy. And we do believe that that's part of the challenge as well. Obviously, Canadian regulators are quite risk averse. And you see that in the fact that our market is relatively small versus the US. And people often say, well, that's probably why things can be done easier in the US. But if you look at a country like Denmark with a population of only 6 million, or Singapore, they are making huge strides in these things. So it's not really about scale of the market. It's really more about the framework, we believe. And for example, in Canada, long-term care is, majority funded at the provincial level. Whereas if you look at in Europe, for example, they had a Horizon 2020 program that invested 85 million euros in robotics for aging well. And that was things. So you think about that, 6 years ago, that was launched. So there's a lot of work done at the national level, which is one of the reasons we're thrilled to be part of the AgeTech group and the national work that you're doing. So the summary, what I would say is here that despite the optimism, funding and interoperability remain significant barriers to widespread technology adoption. And that is why the priority for AI use cases now are getting into things like predictive analytics, staffing efficiency, and to some extent resident engagement. We'll talk about that. But it's basically about using these tools to anticipate resident needs, optimize staffing, and enhance operational efficiency. And so that's things like, documentation, saving time. How can we save time for staff so that they are freed up to do other things that are more resident focused? And so this model, hopefully many of you are familiar with it in terms of the 3 pillars that AgeWell operates on. And we're really talking about how do we go from the research to capacity building and preparing people for the adoption that is so important in terms of leveraging and gaining the value from these technologies. And so what I'm going to do in this next phase, I'm going to talk to you about some case studies that are really focused on the journey that people have been taking with the Gray Spot platform. So We have 3 case studies: Salvation Army, Meehan Health Center, Primacare Living, and Trinity Village. And then I'll just do a quick wrap up of lessons learned before handing it over to Rami. So GraySpot, if you haven't seen her or it, I guess, is our AI-enabled social engagement platform, and it can be either hardware option. So the one on the right we call Grace, and the smaller one we call Timo. But really, it's about offering this platform where we can have a social app or a greeter app all embedded in our GraySpot portal, which is cyber secure Microsoft Azure with all the data residing in Canada. And the idea is to provide solutions, not just one solution in a platform, but multiple solutions, because that is really where you get that interoperability and benefits. Most of the long-term care residents that we deal with are overwhelmed with the number of software applications and user IDs and passwords and things that they have to engage with. So having this platform really is the way that we've found success with our customers. So it's really about impacting those care environments with these solutions. And here's the example with Meehan Health Center, sorry. So their executive director wanted to modernize their operations, enhance resident care, and ensure regulatory compliance. And they started with a technology adoption roadmap exercise that we offer as part of our services. And you'll see the images on the bottom right-hand side are sort of some of the materials that we reviewed. After we developed this roadmap with them, the very first project that they took on was to deploy digital sensors for environmental monitoring, fridge and freezer medication and temperature monitoring. And Rami's going to talk a little bit about that. That freed up time for staff who previously were going around, having to record the papers in terms of the, fixing long-term care act, sort of reporting temperature manually. And now that's all done through smart monitoring. So now they were able to fund 2 social engagement robots. And they're also developing use cases for cargo and delivery robots. If you're at the Together We Care conference at the end of March, you'll hear us talking about sort of some of the work that is being done there to, reduce workplace injuries and also, support staff who are aging but really want to keep working. And so how can technology help with that? And then Rami's also going to talk about an AI-enabled note-taking project that we launched with Meehan Health Center and Canada Health Infoway. So here's a quick example of what GraySpot looked like at their facility. And you can see that the testimonials there. I'm quite happy with robot during mealtimes. It's a great idea and a wonderful enhancement and entertaining. It brings smiles to everyone. The robot keeps me company when my daughter is away. So it's really about augmenting and really finding ways to enhance short-term and long-term memory, abstract thinking, maintaining attention, and other things. So the benefits are not all obviously clearly not all financial, but the social robot space is one where we're seeing more and more examples of where people are thrilled with the outcomes. At Trinity Village, they were actually one of our early adopters. You may have seen us at This Is Long-Term Care in 2024. They deployed a social robot in each home area and then also a greeter robot at their front entrance. And the article there you'll see was in Long-Term Care Today magazine. And the real benefit or the real shift, I think, in the Trinity Village area was where they really developed their usage of the statistics. So the GraySpot platform is tracking the usage and really enabled them to understand. They actually developed like a competitive program between the different home areas to say they had report cards at each home area and how the robots were being used and which, is it the trivia module or the music module or which one was the most used in which home areas. And then in phase 2 of that deployment, we actually integrated with point-click care through Marketplace. So again, that's part of the development and having a scalable solution where when we started, it was the resident information was entered manually, and then they went to a digital process. The next example is with Primacare Living Solutions. So again, they did a technology adoption roadmap project with us. They decided to move forward right away with 19 social engagement and greeter robots across their 3 facilities and 6 nursing caddies and delivery robots. And you see here a picture with MPP, Minister of Long-Term Care, visiting their facility in November. And I'm sure they don't call this particular robot Grace, but they have all kinds of fun names for their robots across their home. And as part of their roadmap, they're also now working with us on a fall detection sensor pilot project. So, what are the key lessons for the innovation community? And this is really a summary of yes, the social engagement robots really do improve the increasing, I guess, happiness and joy levels for the residents and more social interaction moments. And it's also providing staff support in some non-clinical activities, providing 24/7 engagement and choice of what activity they want to do. And really, what we wanted to say in terms of our lessons from these case studies for the age-well community, really, it's about we're driving engagement before autonomy. What we mean by that is that people start with their robots, and it's like they're kind of being introduced to a friend. So you have a short visit. You would never want the robot to just walk into somebody's room, obviously, but to be able to say, we can take baby steps and then develop the solution together. Human-centered design matters. I think that we all in the age-well community know that, but really just wanted to say that, the journey that we're on with these clients is really, really heartwarming and impressive, and we're delighted to be able to share them publicly with you all here today. I'm going to stop sharing now and hand it over to Rami, and then we'll be happy to answer your questions at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee, for this great information. And again, to go back to what we highlighted, that today with the answer is not always a robot. Like when we work with our customer, we start with the digital adoption plan to understand what they are trying to solve and what kind of problem they are facing, or where is the friction in their operation. So we decided in this professional community not to focus only on the robot, which is like we know robotics and automation will help us to solve part of the equation or part of the problem. But there are other areas that we think and we believe there is a huge opportunity for collaboration and research where we can solve also different kind of problems or open opportunities. So we today, and this section in the group B, we put like more how to enable environment to make it more intelligent. And we will talk about smart monitoring and about the delivery robot and AI note taking, which is another version of how we enable AI cognitive capability, which is not a hardware, which is not a sensor, but it's a software. So I will start first why we need this, because as we highlighted, the environment, there are many areas. When we look to the long-term care, there are many areas where we believe there are opportunity for improvement and optimization. So we are thinking like after we focus, if some of our customers or partners, they know what they need automation or cognitive automation in one area, that's where we can say this is a robotics or AI. But sometimes it's about the environment, how to make the environment enable to support the staff and the operations to address certain problems, and how to be able to collect information. And currently in the market, there are different kind of options. And when we talk about options, about sensors, there are many sensors in the environment. So there are many like technology available, but how we will be able to have a deep insight about what's happening in our environment to be more proactive. So and how we can orchestrate all this information, then to collect the information and enable AI to be able to have kind of a prediction and be more proactive. So in this section of we will talk about different use cases. I will start with this one, where is one of our customers here is a Salvation Army. They came to us and they are focused on the quality of service they are offering and how to empower their staff. They were dealing also with the regulation and how to make the environment compliant with the long-term compliance requirements. So they ask us where they have different technology and they are so advanced, but they ask to have deeper insight about different areas. So we spent time after we completed the digital adoption plan. We said, okay, before we start with the robotics, IoT, Internet of Things, list of sensors or infrastructure that can help you to solve immediate business and operational requirements. So we start with the full understanding what they are trying to do, and they need a deep insight about the water, the air quality, the temperature. So we build the infrastructure based on the operation requirement, and we were able to empower their team with the reporting required that solve like bigger problem, like saving them time, give the time back to their staff to offer a more advanced quality of service to their residents. So, and they, as you see here, there are some feedback how much they were able to save time and increase the quality of service. And this started with a group of sensors that and infrastructure, which is very agile, very fast. We were able to address this immediate need. So instead of like go about all the AI and robotics, this kind of area that helped many of our customers in this domain, and there is a huge opportunity for research and development about how the IoT and different kind of sensors will be able to answer bigger questions from compliance, from time, from optimization. The second scenario that we would like to share, this is another customer in another region here in the east, in the west region. They asked, they are planning to build another facility, which is around 370,000 square feet, and they want to make it robotics ready. And mainly they want to automate the process. They recognize they have not a friction, but there are some delay and heavy process which need about food delivery in their organization. So they said, like today, before they start building and do all that infrastructure, they said, let's make sure the new facility will be ready to adopt robotics. Because as you know, like today, most of our buildings are not ready for like delivery robots. So they did a strategic decision. They said, let's look to that in new design. So as you know, today, we always hire our mechanical architect, electrical engineering, but there is no robotics practices in our engineering market today. So they hired the GlobalDWS to look to that environment end to end and to work with other disciplines of engineering to make sure the environment will be ready. So we spent time, and the next slide, I will show you what are the questions that we were able to help them to answer to make sure this investment and this major development of the new facility will be ready for the future. So they don't need to redesign or to retrofit or to re-architect the facility to make it ready for automation, which their main intention was how to relieve their frontline staff from repetitive tasks, which is pushing like carts for food and how to make sure the food will come like either cold or warm or hot based on their resident expectation and to be able to increase the quality of service. So this is a chart we put it together to show you some of the areas that we believe will also, when you talk about delivery robot, many people like and many vendor in the market, they think it's another robot with the SLAM or with autonomous capability and computer vision. With respect to GlobalDWS, when we are looking to our solution and look to how we can support our customers and partner, we look to their smart environment ecosystem end to end. So you see in the top left corner, they start talking about the food, the time, how many round they need to do, and how to deliver the food like on time with the right quality. But then we start thinking how to interact with the elevator. How about the physical access? Different doors have physical access card and other system in the building. So as you see, robots should be integrated and embedded in that smart long-term care ecosystem. And we were able to help them answer all those questions and make sure they do the right investment and to do the right design. So to make sure the robot will fit in the environment, that will not add a complexity or it will not come later as another layer of complexity. So the robot, this building now, it's robot ready, and they are planning to open, I think, in 2027. So the next scenario that I like to share with you, which is about different than robotics, because always I try to tell our customers, it's not the answer, it's always robot. Even we believe, and we have the biggest robotics deployment in North America, but also like sometimes our customer come to us, they say, I have friction like in this process. In this scenario, working with Canada Health Info Way and one of our strategic customer, they mentioned that most of their nurses and physicians, they spend time in collecting history with all the information required. So this is taking time, and they want to spend more quality time, but then after they take note manually, they need to go back to the EHR system to upload the information, and there is a gap in the time. So because they have to upload all the information to the Ontario healthcare system, so there is a longer process. So we found this is another area that we can handle, or we can, I would say, attack by enabling AI and robotics, but here or robotics from robotic process automation is software robotics that can streamline the process, which is capturing the information using voice capability, voice interaction, and then automate the process by surfacing the information integrated with the point-and-click care, which is their main EHR system, and be able to save them more than 30% reduction in the time for the documentation and save all the nurses and the medical or healthcare staff a lot of time and be able to make it auditable. And they highlighted in this AI solution they were dealing with the complexity about multi languages, because you know that today most of our seniors, when they getting at a certain age, they go back to their main languages, and that's also the AI was able to add huge capability here when they are collecting information or histories from the residents. So this is another scenario where we see AI will solve a strategic and a critical problem. So based on all of that, we put this framework that when we and lessons learned, when we are dealing with long-term care, we need to look holistical. Like I know we are doing research, we are doing different analysis, but we need to see, do we have the foundation? Do we have the base? Especially if we want our environment. Like we were working with another customer. When we asked the CEO, we asked him what is the top priority. He said compliance. I lose my license if I'm not compliant. So we said, okay, let's just start with the foundation. Let's make sure your environment is compliant and we have all the required. It's a sensor. It's a process to make sure the foundation is from that which is compliant ready and healthy and optimized environment, because also we know this domain, it's under huge pressure of budget, what Lee highlighted. So we need also to optimize the process to reduce the pressure on the budget. Then the middle tier, which is about how to make it automated, how to optimize, how to make the environment more more smart, and to be designed to support the staff and to see how the workflow is efficient. And the top tier here, how to personalize the care, how to make the experience better. So when we are dealing, and that's where we are doing research, we need to look to that holistical. And I think there is a huge opportunity here for vendors, for academia, for the research and development, and plus customers to look how we will be able to go from the people and the human centric also to the infrastructure centric to make sure we solve the bigger problem, not to focus on one area and miss in another area. So, and based on that, what we see, where is the gap in the market? So when we talk about the maturity, I brought this because I was 2 weeks ago, I was in the World AI Cannes festivals, and we had a deep discussion about the AI. And there are different input about the AI, and I captured this from the godfathers of AI, who are the Nobel Prize in computing. And you can see Jeffrey started that we need the AI to be responsible. How to make it, how we need to accelerate the AI. But we as a GlobalDWS, we know we are dealing with regulated environment, and we need to be careful how to enable AI in a heavily responsible way. Also, that Pingo would highlighted that we need to see how to build the trust between the machine or the AI and the human, because that's where people we focus heavily about the change management. Some of our customers, they recognize we can deploy all the right technology, but if the team and the environment and the culture is not ready, I think there will be a gap. So also we need to focus how to make it the team and the people centric, and not about only the resident, but also the staff is ready for the AI. And the last one, when we talk about Jan, he highlighted that the AI is very mature in certain areas, but there are areas still need a lot of work. And that's where I bring this one. I found this will help us in this professional community, where Jan highlighted that the AI today system, I think it's mature, and we see it from all the generative AI and all the AI capability, but that's a perception-driven AI, and the pattern recognition, and it's a reactive system, which is, we see there is a huge maturity, and we see that integration of that maturity, it's great. But where we see the next generation of AI, how the AI will be able to understand the environment. And we all see this kind of cases where people go to robot and start some kind of discussion, and the robot look dummy because it could not engage or doesn't understand the environment, or doesn't understand what new scenarios that because robot is based, or AI based on how we train those So we need to do work. We have opportunity about how to do the next generation of AI, how to make it world modeling and memory-based reasoning, where they understand the environment, like especially people expectation when they deal with robotics and AI, that they have the same cognitive capability like human, which is not the case, and that's where you see some expectation problem. But there is area here how to make robot or AI to understand the environment, and that's in the area of the computer vision, where we enable all those components that you see it in the advanced machine intelligence architecture, between the perception, the short memory, the long memory, about all of those, how all of those are interacting. We can, I think, elevate the AI capability to solve a bigger problem. What we see here, where is the maturity in that? We see the AI in the care will be defined, integrated, and contextual intelligence across the sector here, which is what we were highlighting, that today when we are talking about AI, we need to see how the AI and robotics will be in the context of the environment. And that's why we put the robot, and you see all our robot solutions, and we have so many successful scenarios, but also we are trying to make the environment also smart by enabling sensors or to enable AI in a certain component. But if we are able to integrate all of those, I think we will be able to solve a bigger problem and help like this industry to be more advanced. And that's where we talk about, like, where we see the maturity in generative AI, we see all those applications, and every, I think, month we see a major update. Basic automation and logistics robots, and you see the social robot that we have, the delivery robot, all of those are getting very, very mature. Indoor navigation, but you see outdoor navigation still are facing some challenges. Environment IoT monitoring, this is very mature today, and we are able to help many customers, and many customers are able to collect a huge amount of information to have deep insight. But and all of those are fully integrated. Where are the opportunity about the context aware intelligence, how to make it context aware, how to make it the human machine trust modeling, and how to make it fully integrated in that ecosystem. Based on this gap and opportunity, that we think there is an opportunity for research and development, but we know today it's not a one group or one partner to solve this bigger problem. I always like to share this open innovation framework, where they, like today, GlobalDWS, we have a picture we will show you. Like, we are working with different partners, with different higher education organization. We work with also other vendors. We need that kind of open innovation where you can see the vendor will be able to bring all this technical experience, awareness, but also we need the customers and also the competitors to be able to challenge some of those ideas. And we need education sector heavily to be involved with all those research, to be oriented to solve really problems. At the same time, we need the startup who are bringing the agility to the equation. So we need all those stakeholders to work together to make sure, and with the clear scope agreements, and we know there is IP management and all of that. But if we are able in Canada to put all those players to work together, I think we will be able to address and support our local market by all the solution we need in the short term, mid-term, and long term. The next, and this is one of the pictures that today, GlobalDWS, we are working with different higher education. We know there are different programs, and I know most of us here, they are aware about those. We need to activate all those channels because we need the support. We are solving like really strategic problem, and we need that kind of collaboration between all the key players, because the ideas are scalable, and how we can capitalize on those ideas, and we build that kind of innovation infrastructure. And based on that, like today, GlobalDWS, and we put like options. When we work with the higher education, with the research and development group, we put options. We know there are like some of them, they need access to technology, they need access to solution where they can test some of those. And like when we talk about innovation and design thinking, we need to be agile. So we cannot crash a lot of resources. So we put option for our partners. If they want to start to test our AI-enabled social robot, we have option about a gray spot, and we give incentive if they are engaged in research and development. So we are able to empower them with access to the hardware and to see where it is real, Where are the limitations? When we talk about autonomous navigation, computer vision, is it real? So you will be able to test hardware in a real hardware platform. Also, we have a kit for the smart environment. If you need to test, like, okay, I heard about this sensor that collect about air quality. Is it real? What kind? There are sensor with cost X, another sensor 5 times that. What is the difference between those? So we have also a research kit that if you want to access some of those, to mimic some of that smart environment, we also have option for you to be able to access that. And the last one, also for the indoor and outdoor, also we are partnering with different companies that if you need to test, and I'm working with different higher education who are testing this platform to go to a more complex environment. Like today, the robot to interact with the elevator, with indoor, to go on the stairs, this is another level of complexity but to know and to be able to access, we have access to different hardware that we will be able to empower all kinds of research and development to be able to test your solutions or your ideas or your component to be able to support the market. So we put this based on all of that, and our engagement in this professional community, we put this kind of QR code if you are interested for collaboration in any of the use cases that you hear or any of the hardware or software that we are working on. We are open, and that's why we believe in that open innovation framework, and we put the process how to work with all our partners and customers to make sure that we will be able to contribute in solving a real business problem and support our community with the right solution. Back to you, Lee. I don't know if I missed anything here.
No, it's actually over to Allison for the Q&A.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much for this presentation. There was a lot of information, but I think it's really cool that you were able to capture sort of what you're doing now and the visions for the future. And I think that's always where we're thinking, right? What can we do in the future with the technology we have? And how can we advance this technology to make it even more relevant to folks? So thank you so much. We have lots of questions in the chat and in the Q&A box. Remember, participants, if you want to ask a question verbally, you can also select raise hand button on your Zoom toolbar if you'd like to ask a question verbally. But we'll start with some of the questions that have been posted so far. Okay, so first question. Is the technology co-designed with older people? How do you ensure that it does not infantilize or deceive older people?
Do you want me to handle this one, Rami? I'll start with that. Okay, so certainly, I'm assuming you're talking mostly about the social engagement robots as opposed to the other technologies where there's not as much resident interaction. And so when it comes to the GraySpot app, we actually have our platform allows program leaders or recreation leaders, activity directors to customize the content. So to the extent that there may be a concern that you're infantilizing, it's shifted a lot. So when I first started Social Robots back in 2018, 2019, we were working with a robot that had been designed for children, and so there was a lot of that sort of content on there. But now with Timo and Grace, it's whatever the long-term care home wants. We have standard sort of jokes, trivia, the songs, and including sort of integration with Spotify. But it's very customized to the communities and offers them choice. We have a collaboration agreement with Dimensionability as well for audiobooks. But again, some communities aren't that advanced and they don't want dementia-related technology. They want something more sophisticated for their audience. That's all possible through the GraySpot platform.
Yeah. And also I would like to add, like in all our projects, like when we deploy robots, we don't go directly to the adoption stage. During the design, also we have a stage where we engage all the stakeholders. And in addition to the residents, we do a tour where we engage also the families to make sure they are aware, like what they are getting, so they will not be surprised. Also, we get consent, and we have a process about that. So we add to all our projects something we call it OCM, Organizational Change Management, to make sure that this new technology will be like developed and designed about the human. We are here to augment and to support human in the long-term care. So we allocate enough time, and we are extra careful about this factor.
Great, thank you. Okay, next question. I think this was also directed at the first part of the presentation. How do you measure outcomes such as increased happiness?
Mhm.
Some of it is anecdotal, certainly, but also we have clients who are tracking it. So whether they're using Activity Pro or some other um, uh, application in the programs area, family members' testimonials obviously are a big part of it. But in terms of actually like the measurements or the metrics, that's really where we would look to the academic community and our customers, I guess, to find a way to document that, I guess, is a way of describing it. But certainly anecdotally, I see it when I go and I see how people are interacting. I actually have a really funny story. I was doing an update to one of the robots at a client, and there was a woman who was playing Turia on the robot in the community room. And I went in and I thought, oh, she's busy. I'll come back in 5 minutes or so. And I came back and she was still there. I said, "Excuse me, would you mind if I update the robot? I just have to do something." She's like, "Where are you going to take it?" She was so worried that the robot was going to take it away from her. And I said, "I promise it'll be back. It'll be even better than before." And so she was really curious to see like what I was going to be doing. But yeah, I mean, I think that part of it is anyway. I'll stop there. I get excited when I see how happy and engaged people are.
Yeah, and I would like to add, because we are here in the AgeWell, about the professional community. As we all know, robot is embedded with a lot of sensors and computer vision, voice interaction. So we are based on our customers. We collect certain analytics that the customer specified, but also there is option to collect more information about like facial, about anything to measure additional factors, but with all the privacy, again, back to the responsible AI. But I saw, based on my experience, and we were dealing with those, we saw some residents hugging the robots, and we said, hey, we need to talk about the safety and all of that. So we see the impact. And we see like the dynamic, especially when we enable robot to speak multi-language, like because we recognize some of our seniors, they go back to speak like Portuguese or X, and they need more and they want to see content using their languages. So I think that's also increased the happiness and the engagement when you enrich the platform with the right content related to our residents.
Great. Yeah, lots of testimonials and evidence there that you've seen firsthand. That's great. You mentioned a little bit about the privacy and like the collection of data. One of our participants would like to know how do you address privacy and confidentiality?
Yeah, I will talk about that. So we are like GlobalDWS. We came as a Microsoft Gold partner, and we came from enterprise system integrator, and we are using Microsoft all the security control and compliance and privacy controls. And we also we enable all those features, and we like during the deployment of any of our solution, we spend time with the technology, with their risk and compliance team to understand what they need. Some of our customers, they said, hey, we don't want any camera, we don't need X, or we don't need this sensor to be enabled. So we work on this, and we share what are the capabilities of those solutions. And like if we remove X, we will lose some of those capabilities, but we try to follow all the privacy best practices end to end, and all the data is hosted and controlled by our customers, and we give them a full architecture about like where and how we manage the data end to end.
That's great. So then it's up to the like the individual care home to determine sort of the consent process if people are opting in or out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we work on heavily on the communication. This is another OCM, organization change management, to make sure all like the environment, the stakeholders are aware what we are doing, what kind of this new technology is doing, and what are the capability, and where to position this platform, if it is allowed to work in that zone, not in other zones. So we follow all of those practices.
Yeah. Great. Great. And I will draw attention to Lee's comment in the chat. Michael was asking about some videos, and so she's provided a link to a video there, a demo video. But we will post this as well for those of you who are watching the recording, so you can see an extra video of the robots in action. Thanks, Lee. Okay, another question. I lost it there. Okay, so from Mark, given we know the current gaps and the struggle with the slow adoption curve, when do you realistically think all of this will be prolific in care facilities?
That's $1 million question, isn't it? I honestly, I don't know about prolific. I think that um, I would say that we are really appreciative of the pioneers, of the innovators, the visionary leaders that we're working with now, who are successfully finding the funding and making it work, and who are willing to be on this technology adoption journey now. I think that given the way the sector works, that many people, rightly so, are a little more risk averse. They want to wait until things are like smoother and better understood, and that they don't have to invest a lot of training time in their staff and sort of moving things too far too fast, sort of thing. So I think it's a bit of a journey, like finding the right match in terms of culture and so for example, Monica Klein-Nouri at Meehan Health Center, she has just imbued her staff with this philosophy that innovation is okay, and it's like they really are willing to embrace AI, and not every home is, and that's okay. So from my perspective, it's really a matter of finding the right balance and figuring out when does the pain of not adopting AI become more, and I think that people who don't adopt it are risking, going from maybe things are okay now, but maybe there's going to be it's a tidal wave coming at you, and you need to be starting to prepare now. I think it's just about getting on the journey. Start now, even if it's just a small step forward. That's kind of my, so Mark, I think it was Mark who asked the question. It's just like prolific is kind of it's like it's our ambition for certain, but I don't have a prediction. Rami, I don't know about you. You've been in this business longer than I.
I'd like to share with you some successful story. Like when we work with some of our customers, they are like a different stage of their digital adoption. So most of them that we start with the recommendation, start with your digital adoption plan, which is very reasonable investment to know what they need and to be ready. Like when they get opportunity, either from internal investment or from external, or if there is any innovation fund, like this scenario, I can tell you, like after we finished the digital adoption plan, and like the customer was similar to other customers, they are dealing with the budget. We put a roadmap, but then there is opportunity came to the market. That's why our recommendation to start with the digital adoption plan, to specify what you need and put them in the roadmap. And when you get that opportunity or resources, but then that opportunity came and we were ready. So you don't need to reassess what I need to start, where I need. So because you did your homework and you finish and you put a roadmap and you specify what are the key, like maybe technology or innovation or solution you need, I think you will make your organization ready to deploy any of those solutions when the opportunity will come. And when we talk about opportunity, there are sometimes we get a fund or combination of things that come together and we were able to solve. I think that's why I always, when I put in the picture the foundation, like let's complete your technology strategy. And we found some of our customers, they have good business strategy, and the technology is only one slide. They say, hey, we need optimization, but it's not clear where to start, what they need to achieve. When we help them with that digital adoption plan, they make them ready, and they handle each one at the right time. And I think that helps from the budget. So they know what they need and they can allocate the required budget, either internal or external.
Great, thank you. Yeah, that makes it pretty clear about where you see things going. But a lot of that probably does depend on policy and government support. So we have a question about some of that. What is the reaction of the political governments to such technologies? Is there enthusiasm, or do you expect the adoption to be mainly focused on private care providers?
In fact, it is definitely not focused on private care providers. So the nonprofits are the ones who are doing the most, and the publicly funded facilities. Obviously, there are some I guess bureaucratic delays maybe in the sort of some of the municipal homes and things like that. But when it comes to it's really an education process, I guess. And I think that's why we were so excited to see the Minister of Long-Term Care at the Primary Care event. She actually had met our robots at This Is Long-Term Care as well, a year before. So there's a bit of a bringing them along in the journey and making sure that they understand that these technologies are providing solutions. And that visit was not just focused on the social engagement robots. Like, she was also asking questions about the fall detection sensors that we were deploying in the proof of concept. Like, so it was a fully engaged, and they had all kinds of other technologies as well. So I think that it's really just a journey again, and I don't have any predictions, but I will say it's definitely not just limited to private care homes
Yeah.
already. And that's whether it's for fundraising. They have to be creative though. Like, that's they can't just kind of like fit it into an existing bucket of funding. They have to actually look, and that's where we're working with our clients to help them, when like the Integrated Technology Solutions Fund came out, or when the different types of funding comes up, and the Canada Health Info Way project. Like, there are different ways that the early adoption work is being funded.
Yeah, and I would like to add in what they highlighted also, and based on this professional community, I think also they want to see more successful cases. So it's not like today when we started like 7 years ago, they thought that when we brought the first robot, they said, "Oh, nice to have." But when they saw that those platforms, they are really solving operational challenges and helping, and I think we need as a community here, we need to show more and more successful story. That's why we are talking about open innovation and collaboration, and to show that this is not just another technology or overhead. It's solving the problem where we have pain points. That's what I think will we have influence on those policies, and to show like we need more innovative ideas to solve a bigger problem. So, and we can like help them to change and update the policies. So it's not just nice technology, or like today they allocate budget for computers, for mobile, for internet, for Wi-Fi. But today we need to elevate that discussion about where we can enable cognitive automation and what are the return on investment. So when they see those and see more successful stories, I'm sure we will be able to impact the policy.
Definitely, yeah. The government's not quick to jump in, but if there's a return on investment there that makes sense, yeah, definitely. So speaking of, you were talking about kind of learning from the beginning times until now, and how you've been able to improve your technology based on feedback and experiences. So could you give an example of any issues experienced that you learned from? And specifically, someone's asking about that experience with the adoption of GraySpot within LTC homes. So are there any issues that you have that helped you to develop GraySpot further?
I think I'll start by just saying, I think that we have a fairly robust stakeholder engagement program. So that really starts with like introducing the robots to the residents council and the family council and so forth. So any issues, I would say, are almost like co-design issues. Other than I think there was one of our deployments had an issue with Wi-Fi. We have now developed a version of the robot that, and I'm probably speaking beyond my technical, so I'm going to ask Rami to address it further. But so the robot can be used offline as well, and then when it gets reconnected to the Wi-Fi, some of the it can be sort of refreshed and updated. But Wi-Fi strength is one of the foundational like it has to be just not strong, but also stable. And so there has definitely been some work with our clients around doing Wi-Fi heat maps and just making sure that if they want the robot to move autonomously or they have issues, especially it's more important for the cargo delivery robots than for the social engagement robots. But there are definitely infrastructure and foundational issues that need to be addressed to make sure that this technology works reliably. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would like to add, I'm in the industry for more than 22 years experience, and I had opportunity to be in many enterprise organization, early adopter of technology. And any new technology, there are always friction and challenges, and especially now when we talk about robotics in specific, robotics adds on top of all the technology of any emerging technology, adding hardware like when we add, like today, if you do comparison between desktop and laptop, you will find the number of failure on the laptop because it's mobile device, it's higher than the desktop because it's moving part. So today, robotics is adding that autonomous navigation, so its impact on the environment, the leveling of the floor, the design. So we learned that we now before we go and propose any technology, we go and do it like in addition to the Wi-Fi, what Lee highlighted, we found some of our customers, they have many dark zones, they don't have Wi-Fi, they don't have coverage. We need to understand the physical environment. Is it ready? And plus, like when we need a different kind of maintenance for the robot because it's moving, it's interacting. So this is like service robot adding another level of complexity, and we built a complete support services how to help customers to be able to solve those problems. But yes, there are additional layer of complexity, but at the same time now you have a huge computing power with computer vision, voice interaction, autonomous navigation, moving in your floor. So you need to think what kind of a problem you are able to solve at the same time to understand the complexity and how to consider them during the design, like from the physical environment. Sometimes if you have access door physical access, we feel we need to deal with all of those Wi-Fi. The environment is a key layer, and especially when we talk about robotics.
Mommy, I'm going to ask you to address the privacy issues. There's a question from Marae Norris. Thank you so much. Apparently, she wasn't able to fill in the QR code or access the QR code through her mobile phone, but she asked about City of Toronto is very concerned about privacy issues. AI speech synthesis using Microsoft Dragon Copilot might be limited by privacy HIPAA issues. I know this is your bailiwick, so go for it.
Yeah,
and Allison, yeah, you're probably like, we only have 2 minutes left.
Yeah, so sorry about this. I'm not looking to the question. I'm waiting like to hear the questions from Elsa and Lee. So I had opportunity last week. I was also in Toronto city about the discussion about the AI and everything about in addition to the talents, it's about the responsible AI. And also today I'm going to the Ontario AI, which is I think there is a huge discussion about the privacy. So we are engaged in this. Like we take it very, very serious. And as I mentioned, when we talk about privacy, like we call it like secure by design. Like when we build our solution, we say, and it's secure and we add defense and depth. So it's not one layer. Like today, there is no any one option that will solve all the problems. So we add that defense and depth where we add different layers and awareness. As I mentioned, like today, the big concern about privacy, you have the robotics with the computer vision, which means a camera moving around. So if we can tell the customer we have options, we can remove the camera, but you will lose some of the functionality. Another option, we do all the computing power at the edge, so we don't send any picture back to the back end system, but we send only telemetric information. Or if you need that images or videos from that computer, we send it in a very secure channel and secured at rest, secure in transit. So we do all those security and make sure there is the roles and RACI model, who has access to this information. So we take security and privacy in like as key, and because we know the computing power that we are offering, and we offer that defense in depth to make sure all the data, all our customer data is protected. And the last one is the training, because also we want to make sure people who are touching and managing this platform also is aware about the computing power, especially with the computer vision, the voice, where the voice will enabled, how the computer vision is working. I think when the operations team, they are aware, also they will apply their own practices to make sure everything is secured.
Great, thank you. We have just one last question. If we have 2 minutes, I'll ask if you can respond. So again, AI in the future, where do you see environmental sustainability for AI and robotics into the future? Just one quick answer would be great.
Like when I will talk like about sustainability, like because here we did not today we focused only on the on one of the, which is we focused heavily on the gray spot, because today this platform is mainly for the long-term care. But when we looked about this Verbrix, like we deployed this robot in other, in engineering, in facility management, which is another practices today in long-term care. We are focused more on the gray spot and the IoT environment. But this platform, we have a robot with more than 22 sensors, computer vision to understand the environment, and integrated with the building management system to go back to the sustainability and collecting the information about the environment and send it back to the building to be more optimized, to reduce the energy utilization. So all of that, if this is the question about the AI sustainability, this is also AI and robotics will play a key factor to make the environment more sustainable, to reduce the energy utilization, where you can have a full monitoring. From the sustainability in the back end in the data center, this is another big question. I'm not specialized in the data center, but we expect there will be huge increase of usage of power. But based on my high level knowledge, most of the data center, they try to be more sustainable. I had opportunity to visit many data center, but it's not my specialty. But I know there will be increase of the power usage. We need to be more sustainable from the data center back end perspective.
Yeah, it's a common question that people developing AI definitely are facing, because it's receiving a lot of public scrutiny. But I think that public scrutiny is hopefully resulting in more sustainable data centers being developed. Well, we're a little over time. Thank you so much for staying with us. Really great presentation. Thank you so much for answering all of these questions. I will reach out with a recording of the webinar to our participants, as well as the links provided to help you further learn more about GlobalDWS, as well as AI and robotics. Thank you so much for joining us today. Reach out to Rami and Lee if you have any questions that weren't answered. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Allison. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.